Hi. Just gonna go grab a cup of tea. If you'd like to ask a question in brackets, I'll get to it at some point. We'll be starting properly in about 5 minutes, maybe a little time, 6 minutes, a few minutes. Morning. It's morning, not the evening. It's Gallagher. Do GMT here, UTC time. EST time. Green screen's in the way. Hi. How's everyone going? Oh. Music backgrounds. So, hi. How's everyone doing? Hope you're doing well. Oh, Huntress, you alright? I haven't talked to you for ages properly, Huntress. I love you. Me and Zin were talking about. Well, I was talking to Zin about how much I miss you. The other day, and haven't interacted with you. So I love you, Huntress. You're the best. Probably still. I mean, I haven't interacted with enough to know that anymore. But we'll change that. I will contact you and say, Huntress, let's do something. So, Huntress used to be one of my star mods. And by that, what I mean is that she basically did the work of someone that should be employed by me. And it didn't get anything in return. And in fact, donated loads to the channel. But I sort of like lost a bit of contact. She still does modding for me. Still does a load of stuff for me. Which is genuinely appreciated. Or at least has a presence. You have dropped in ranks. I'm sorry. It's true. You went from, oh god, I feel guilty that I know you because you're doing so much for me, to now that I'm just, it's a tiny amount of sort of like, well, probably should cultivate this relationship and friendship a bit better. And I just feel a little bit guilty, yeah, that you don't really get anything from me. Do you know what I mean? Rather than really guilty. So it's all good. I hope everyone's doing well. I love all the rest of you as well. It's not just Huntress, but she gets special love. Special love from BoredGamer, such as it is. Yeah, if you'd like to ask a question during the live stream, question in brackets. It doesn't have to be Star Citizen related. It can be BoredGamer related. It can be about me. It can be about something else. I do try and keep questions I think will make people polarized politically out of it. The channel is neutral politically. It does not talk about politics. It does not focus on any form of politics. My political opinions are my own. I try not to share them with people on the channel. If you want to know them, then meet me at a live event or at a bar citizen or something. I'll happily talk at length in a very civil manner about points of view and stuff. However, my outlook on life, okay, is that it's okay to be wrong. I'm probably wrong, and I like to discuss things and understand other people's points of view. That's it. I'm not going to hold anyone. I'm not morally better or worse than anyone else. Most of the time. Well, there might be some things. Probably shouldn't. I probably say that I get banned. I don't know. No, I'm pretty perfect. That's not true. That's not true. So today, I've had a bit of a rough time with my father over the last couple of weeks. We're really worried about him. He's been doing really well for over a year and recovering, or at least sort of getting into a good state with his cancer. And over the last couple of weeks, it's deteriorated somewhat, and he's been sort of bedridden and shattered. So I've been looking after him. However, I bought some new pillows for myself. Yeah, for my bed. I bought a new mattress as well. That hasn't arrived, but the pillows have arrived. I haven't had a good night's sleep in 2 years, I realised. I slept like a little baba boy, little baby last night. My back is significantly better. The pain in my side is gone. I think, potentially, I haven't been sleeping right for years. And I think that my pillows were bad. I've got lovely pillows now. I put my head on my pillows and I went, oh my god. This is... Why doesn't everyone know about these pillows? Oh, it was so good. They were the best. I mean, I think about even contacting them for a sponsorship.
All the best to your father and your pillows for your bed. Screw bad pillows.
Thank you very much, Huntress. You see, I appreciate the sub. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that you've been subbed on and off to me for 41 months. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I can't. Oh man, I have been covering Star Citizen for a long time. That's just how long I've had a Twitch, subbable Twitch. That's how long have I been covering Star Citizen? 6 years, 7 years, 6, 7 years covering Star Citizen. Oh my god! And here's to 7 more. And then the game will release, and I'll be like, oh god, I'm not ready. I should have got better at doing content before the game released. Mate, that's what I'm going to be like. But yeah, sleeping well has given me a more zen outlook on life, and I'm a lot chill. But thank you very much for the kind words, Huntress. I'm sort of like, I appreciate the support and everything. But it's something we also have to deal with, isn't it? Sort of looking after loved ones, and people get old. And I do feel it's before his time. Maybe we'll have another miracle. We had a miracle where we've got him for an extra year, 18 months. It's not over yet or anything like that. So, yeah. Sorry, something that obviously affects me in my life, usually in the content on the channel, will be affected by me looking after my family. But I've got Zin now as well to do editing, and obviously she's relatively good at doing her own lore videos as well. So there'll be a lot less disruption because Zin's around. I do at 3.14. I think we're looking forward to. So yeah, let's move on to some more Star Citizen topics. Well, actually, before we move on to Star Citizen, after the stream, I'm going to go to a mate's birthday barbecue, because in the UK we can have 30 people outside now. We're having an outside barbecue. I'm looking forward to it. I'm seeing people I have not seen in years. I'm seeing a friend who's become a very successful OnlyFans lady girl on there. So I'm really interested to quiz her on that. He gives sort of sexy science talks. I want to talk to her about that. That'll be interesting. Since she was like pretty young. 14, I think? Maybe younger? Used to do live action roleplay stuff. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Like, I want to get out of the house just for a bit of short respite of sanity. Not that I've had much anyway. Sanity, that is. But yeah. Wearing my glasses today because I realised I should be wearing them. Because otherwise, because I'm a little bit long-sighted, I lean into the screen, and that hurts my back and probably damages my vision. So I should wear my glasses really when I use the computer. I will not have an OnlyFans account or ability to subscribe on that, unfortunately. If you want to help the channel, neither will Sin. Let's make that clear. You can subscribe, you can donate, you can click the join button, all that sort of jazz. We'll share the link. No. Science is important, I know, right, Huntress? Do you think Star Citizen, once released, to make money, they'll go the expansions route? Like, once we have 100 star systems and have another 50 playable alien races, player interaction causes war or peace as the main option of what happens. If peace, new big bad comes in and starts invading, and the Vandal threats, etc. If free-to-play can't play as new race and get new ships, that kind of thing, but still fly in those systems. So my expectation is that Star Citizen, once it's released, will continue to expand out its star systems quite a lot, and it will be buy-to-play. It's going to be a buy-to-play game, yeah? You buy a copy of Star Citizen package, and you can play Star Citizen forever. However, they need to monetize the game further. What they've said they want to do to monetize is sell the in-game currency. I actually think that will generate them a huge amount of money, because it almost like Plex for Eve, except that you don't need it to, play the game properly. Although I suppose you don't need Plex to play the game anymore in Eve. You can pay for free, sort of. But I also expect them to monetize in various other ways. Obviously, volunteer subscriptions, merchandise, game packages, Squadron 42 sales, I also genuinely expect them to sell ships still. More generally, concept ships and that sort of stuff. Because it just makes sense. Helps flesh out the universe. Makes them a boat ton of cash. Or ship ton of cash. And it just makes sense for their monetization model. And they did basically say, look, we weren't going to sell ships after release. However, when I talked to Aaron last, he went, we're not ruling anything out. And I think I'd be alright with them selling new concept ships as long as they're not just more powerful than any other ship. As long as they're sort of balanced. I don't mind them selling those ships that you get at the earliest possible stage if you pay with real money. But you can also buy them in game as soon as they're released too. So, do you know what I mean? I'd be okay with that. Others wouldn't be. That's not a this is how it's going to happen sort of route. I'm just saying what I'd be okay with and what I would expect. If CIG don't fix the coffee machine in Lawville Habs 3.14, will you join me in rioting outside their Manchester offices? No. A riot? A riot over protest? I don't think I have the ability to riot in me. It'd have to be like someone taking away the NHS, so National Health Service in the UK, or the move away from democracy or something. So anytime I think I would riot. It would have to be pretty extreme. Chris Roberts behind me is just having a little look-see to make sure I don't break NDA. 3.14, Alpha 3.14 is in Evocati. Some cool little bits, and we'll talk about some 3.14 stuff. And Giant House Lockdown, and Xenothreat Remastered. What we got here? So typically I am quite behind in chat, because I sort of go off my own little tangents. Can we be best mates, please? The Zep. I'm sorry. We can potentially be friends in the future, Zep. At the moment, we can have the... Oh, Anton. That's a big raid. Why are you... I love you, by the way. That's beautiful. I think that's the biggest raid I've ever had in my entire life. I've just got finished talking about sad times with my father and me having nice pillows. We're just moving into some Star Citizen-y stuff. Oh, Anton, I love your videos. I appreciate that. Well, I love you now, Anton. And I'm going to add you as a friend. I'm going to make sure I'm following you if I'm not already following you. Look at this. Sub for sub. Thanks, Anton. You star. You're playing Escape from Tarkov and then Star Citizen. Okay, cool. No worries. Are you star? I appreciate all the love. Thank you very much for the giant raid. So, for people that have just turned up, typically I answer a load of questions on Star Citizen and BoredGamer stuff. Though BoredGamer stuff might be as relevant to you guys that have never seen me before. If you want to talk about Star Citizen, if you want to have a topic about it, if you want to go, why is Scam? Or game is silly? Or when is this coming out? We can talk about it. We have a little bit of a chatteroo. So it's more social experience than a gameplay today. Waiting for 3.14 to be released, and then I'll be we'll be doing some reasonable gameplay. That's Chris Roberts, disembodied head behind me. He's there to make sure I don't break NDA. I'm an Evocati member, so I've got an NDA, meaning I can't talk about specifics of Evocati patches that haven't been released to the public. And it makes me sad because I'm one of the larger Star Citizen content creators, and anyone that's not part of the Evocati just produces loads of videos on the leaks, which is it's good views. It's good views. And let's face it, we're in it for the love of the game and the money. And the money. No. And I've got loads of stuff as well around my room that I was going to be using for skits. Like I've got a crystal ball. I can't juggle it or anything. I've got I don't know where the receiver's gone. There it is. Got red phone. Gonna have stole that from another creator, Saurus. He's got red phone. I was gonna have Chris Roberts calling me. It's not really Chris Roberts. That was the sort of joke. Thank you very much for the giant raid, Anton. Very much appreciated. You are a send leaks. I can't, unfortunately. I wish I could. I get sent them a lot. I get sent Evocati links even though I'm Evocati, which is what I find weird. Occasionally I get like a brochure for a ship or something well before it's out, and I go, "Is this real?" And then go, I probably shouldn't have been sent this. Look at this. Come on, Bucks. I love you. Follow. Lol, lol, lol. Hope you're doing well, sir. I watched our little play of Among Us the other day, remembering the glory days. I love you. You're a good chap. Remember, put brackets around your question. It helps everyone. It certainly helps me. Also, anyone that's here, I'm bad at streaming. I'm just sort of pretty low effort as an individual. Just sort of deal with it. I do. So, do you expect the 600i to receive any major last-minute changes before polish? Do you expect it to be purely exploration? I mean, I'm expecting the 600i to get some updates. I mean, they're supposed to be looking at it, doing some docking color stuff to it and things like that, and tweaking some bits of it, some of its internals. So expect it to get internal changes. It's multi-role, and the exploration version's focused on more exploration gameplay, and the other version is focused more on luxury/VIP transport, but they are solid multi-role ships, in my opinion, anyway. Don't forget to remind everyone to vote for the MPUV as ship of the year this year. It's for me, it's the Mechrystarina. I love that ship so much. Oh, I'm not sure I did the noof sound, but I did. That's how it came out. It's my love. Yeah, I think the worry is that with Alpha 3.14, obviously the new major landing zone, there's Crusader, Orison on Crusader. Crusader, giant cloud. It's a big cloud. That's what gas giants are. Big cloud. Okay? Big cloud. So let's sort of get the science here on BoredGamer channel. And the worry there is that performance is just going to implode because with new tech and obviously a new landing zone, that's the major problem we're expecting to encounter in the PTU, and probably the biggest problem that we'll have in the live build. We're waiting for things like the Gen 12 renderer and Vulkan integration, loads of stuff like that. Thank you very much, Zeros. Thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated. What's your opinion on the consolidated Outland Nomad? I hate it. I mean, some people like it. I don't like the way it looks. It might have might have fitted a very small hole that didn't need to be filled in the Star Citizen universe. It does give you more variety in a ship that you can pick, and I suspect we'll see lots of NPCs with them as well, but I was not a fan of it. Do you think Windows 11 will cause some issues for Star Citizen? It shouldn't, because of the nature of Windows 11, but it probably will. Yeah, so I'm streaming at a weird time today as well, because I had a really good night's sleep, and I'm going to a barbecue in a bit. So it's like, I went on Friday. I was busy looking after my dad. So, any rumors of a wipe with this patch? No rumors of a wipe this patch. It is I do not think we will see a persistence wipe this patch. Expect your goodies to be kept, at least in my opinion. That could change. But I've not heard of any wipe. They will wipe if they need to, or if they think they need to. So if they think like they can get a load of better performance for some reason, then they will, and they will wipe in the future. Yeah. So one of the other joys of a wipe, I used the term joy quite wrongly, is that you do get, you have to grind again. And CIG might want to test that sometimes as well. So it's not just if they have to, it's also if they want to do it for testing. Good morning, Board. Hope all is well. My question for you today is, what changes will we see in the 600i Gold Standard and upcoming rework? Any chance of a medbay in the Explorer variant? I really like the idea of a medbay in exploring ships that are medium-sized or bigger, because it makes sense. So that does extend the range they can go. However, there is going to be medical treatment that you'll be able to do and give to people without a medbay. I like the idea of it. It doesn't mean it's going to get one. I think that most of the tweaks are going to be visual and modelling, rather than let's give it some more facilities. Yeah. Deus Maximus says, I think they ruled out a medbay for the 600i. That seems likely they probably did. I haven't heard of it getting a med bay. I like the idea of it though. I like the idea of the 600i having a med bay full stop. Just a tiny one. Just like almost like just half a Cutlass Red sort of room. Yeah, do you know what I mean? How's your health? Did you find out what the pain in your side was? So, Excalibur, I had... I'm pretty open about talking about stuff, so I'm sorry if it's too much information for anyone. I'm not sorry. So I'm pretty anxious as a person. I've got anxiety disorder. I say disorder. I'm super anxious, and I'm bipolar. Whatever the current term for that is. So I worry about a load of stuff. I'm pretty hypochondriac, but I'm very good on my health. I go to the doctor. I describe exactly what the problem is, and my worries, and say, look, the resolution I want is to know that I don't have this. I don't have pancreatic cancer, or I don't have this. So I went to the doctor, pain in my side, which I've had for several months, and it's got worse, but it's actually got better now. And they gave me a load of tests, including put camera up bum. Had a colonoscopy, with no sedation either. I think I did anyway. It was a guy around the back of an alley sorted me out with one. No, NHS camera. They showed me all my intestinal tract as well. That was interesting to watch on the screen. I was like, and here is your appendix, all the way at the bottom. I was like, oh, that's lovely. Now get the camera out of me. So had all that and everything, and it's probably just IBS because of stress. So all seems to be good. I had a really good night's sleep last night, and the pain is entirely gone. So that's pretty awesome, mate. It was a pillow. The pillow, literally, I'm not joking, getting the right pillows for your bed. So I bought a new mattress as well, waiting for my new mattress to turn up. I realised as well that there are jagged springs I can feel in my bed. Just because I've had it for 4 years, I think, my mattress. What is the current official way that Horizon's Atmo and low gravity combo works? I'd love to see CIG put some effort into explaining it plausibly within the Star Citizen universe. I know that Horizon is sort of kept high atmosphere where it's breathable, and with giant thrusters that sort of keep on firing to make sure it doesn't fall out of position. In real game terms, it's not going to fall out of the sky. It's not actually kept up like that. That's only in lore. It has the effects of the thrusters and everything, but it is just that. It's not actually a ship. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Todd Pappy implied, well, actually, it would if someone EMP'd it, it would fall into the Crusader, but it wouldn't. But would in lore, but it's not gonna. Jirong Dijon. Is that? I think that's probably a pretty apt way of saying your name, maybe? Who knows? When do you think they will fix the disconnect problems when hauling large amounts of cargo? So, 30k disconnects is what you're talking about. Basically, Star Citizen, it's alpha, it's buggy, okay? And disconnects, if you're cargo hauling, are the worst, because if you get a 30k when you disconnect, that's a server crash, and that means that what you were doing at the time is sort of lost. So, if you had a cargo ship full of cargo, that ship is considered lost. You can't reclaim the ship with the cargo in there. So the short-term solution is either... Yeah, don't know why it says Invictus there. Don't worry about my background videos. I'll blame Sin. Short-term solution would be, in my opinion, that if you get 30k disconnected and your ship wasn't destroyed, it's just impounded at the nearest shipyard. Yeah? The station. Just go there, reclaim it. That's the way I'd do it. Obviously... Once they have sort of iCache and server meshing in, or some of the full persistence in and the ability to regenerate the servers, then 30k's become less of a problem. You still have 30k's, but the server will be able to recover from it, and you'll be able to jump back in exactly where you were, is the idea. So it's something that needs to be solved, because otherwise there's a larger risk to cargo hauling than there should be. No, I don't want to spend too much time of my life in bed. I'd rather be out of bed. I like sleeping, when I'm tired, but I want to be out of bed and not tired for the largest amount of my life. You know what I mean? I can't words. Are you expecting a wipe with 3.15 with physicalized inventory? It's possible, as in it's more possible to have a wipe there because of that reason, for sure. However, I know they've been testing local inventories. It doesn't mean they do need to do that. It might make more sense to you. It's certainly not a confirmed thing. Do you have sugar and milk in your tea? So, I am mostly keto. I'm on very low carb diet. I was on keto up until very recently. I started to try and phase carbohydrate back into my diet, and then I went carb mad. I had a very stressful 2 weeks, and I had like pizzas and hom nom nom. So I'm going back to keto, or at least low carb. I don't take dietary advice from me beyond try and stay a healthy weight and do exercise and have a balanced diet, and that would be my advice that you shouldn't take, apparently, that I just said. But I quite like keto. Keto is something I can manage, so I have no sugar. I do have cream or full cream milk in some of my tea, and I typically keep within my carb allowance. So today at the barbecue, I'm planning to drink bourbon with like a lemon and lime water, like lemon and lime. But that should be pretty close to 0 calories, 0 sugar. Not 0 calories. What am I talking about? 0 carbs, 0 sugar. Certainly not 0 calories. It's alcohol. Why are you acting so rational? Sometimes I do. I'm bipolar. When do you think the next store sale is? They'll have another sale when 3.14 goes live. And expect to see another combat ship sale for Xenothreat Remastered, because we're having the remastered Xenothreat event in 3.14. It sounds like we might actually be getting that early on in 3.14 cycle, potentially before the Ninetales lockdown. I thought the Ninetales lockdown was going to be first. It might be Xenothreat first. Not 100% sure. Ninetales lockdown is also happening during the 3.14 cycle, and it will happen multiple times. That can just keep on happening, and when the Ninetales sort of starts to try and lock down a Crusader station. Oh, Huntress. Oh, Huntress, you are a beautiful, beautiful person. What, you gifted 10? I thought you gifted 13. I was like, that's an odd amount. How'd you even gift 13? Thank you very much, Huntress. I love your face. White Wolf, Hackett, Circle, Spader Elite. That's Spader Elite, probably. Zetzer, Big Stinky Dink, MC Rumi, Minty, and Tradewind for the win. Thank you very much. Well, I say thank you very much. You've been forcibly subscribed to my channel. Enjoy. I have a C2 to M2. CC and Maya. Good job. Good for you. Will the Taurus be on sale? Yes. The Taurus will be on sale when 3.14 goes live, most likely. It should be, unless for some reason it's coming in a 3.14.x patch, but should be. What feature I'm most looking forward to? What full stop? The Dynamic Universe stuff, and well, it's Star Citizen all coming together, because the individual features are sort of irrelevant to me. I'll enjoy them and mess around with them, but it's when it all comes together. But if you like, it has to be a feature. I want you to name Dynamic Economy, Dynamic Universe Sim, that sort of stuff. Where do you think the Ryland sits compared to other cargo ships? Nice card. Star Citizen +1 to intelligence. Thanks. Ryland is an interesting one. It's got external exposed cargo pods, which are integrated so it can't drop them. So it's going to be very good at planetary landing, because it's a Xi'an ship. So it can very easily land and move around and go through atmosphere and go to small stations, large stations in between asteroid fields and stuff, and pick up cargo. It's got a tractor beam for that. But it's not going to be hauling huge cargoes because of the size of its cargo pods. I suspect that one day we'll have like manufactured goods, and they will have a certain size that it'll be like, well, actually, this is better for commodities or smaller items in those little triangular cargo pods that it has. But very much a multi-role ship. It's a multi-role, multi-crew ship. Good defenses. If you needed I'd expect to see them in pirate fleets as well. I'd expect them to be flying around, especially when you're assaulting large ships and things like that, because you want to use these to grab the cargo out of another enemy ship. What do you think about all the possibilities the new implementation of planetary clouds brings? Dynamic weather can be great in my opinion. So I think we're going to see a sort of more, in the short term, mid-term, we'll see a more baked-in weather and just sort of prettiness and effects, sort of like an evolution of what we currently have in game with this sort of like moving forward with this gas cloud tech that they're using. Obviously it's the same gas cloud tech that they're using for space station, the points of interest around them, these sort of like gas clouds there. But it's evolved a reasonable amount with Crusader, but there's still a huge way more to go with it. They want to make it look prettier, they want it to be a load more resource efficient, and they want to do a load of things with White Thing with it. So when do you think CIG will give us more information on the Banning Merchantman? Later this year, so October onwards, and we might see a little bit of it around the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo sort of thing. I hope they just talk to us a bit more about it. You spend most of your time in bed. Why not spend the extra money where you spend most of your time? I totally agree. But also, I am thrift bot at heart. I am thrifty and slightly mean with money. Used to sell mattresses. That makes sense. Can you ask CIG to stop it with making 90% of all ships not buyable? What? That's totally incorrect. So you can buy almost every ship in game currently that's flyable, yeah? And the ones that aren't flyable yet should probably be flyable in 3.14. So that's the Tonk. So the ones that are flyable but you can't buy in game yet. The Tonk, the Hercules, C2 and M2. Potentially available in 3.14. If not, then they should be available in 3.15. And yeah, there are obviously some ships and vehicles that you can only buy during sales or that are limited. At the moment, most of those are concept ones that aren't in the game yet. So I reject your statement, Chloe Crafton, that 90% of all ships are not buyable. And in fact, Star Citizen has completed the lion's share of the ships for the game now. I think I'm correct in saying that. Don't worry about talking to your dad. I was in a similar situation. He's all well now, and it helps a lot to... Oh, yeah, talking about... Yeah. Appreciate it. Like, my stream and Star Citizen is sanity for me, so helps keep me grounded. I really enjoy my work, which is just talking about Star Citizen and things like this, where I just chat on stream about whatever. In the military ships Star Citizen Live, CIG mentioned that the Polaris hangar has grown, but was not classified as an ultra-small hangar. Does this mean medium fighters like the Gladiator won't fit? I think you'll be able to fit a medium fighter. Not all medium fighters potentially, but the Gladiator's a fighter bomber, isn't it? It's a weird, quite wide. So we'll have to wait and see, basically. I know the Polaris has got a bit bigger, not just its hangar, but itself has got a bit bigger as far as I'm aware. But it's meant to be able to carry at least medium fighter. So I'm thinking Sabre and Super Hornet. What did we say? I've lost where I was. Bear with me 1 second. So I'm taking quite a few minutes behind in chat, so apologies for that. Have you looked into spliffage as a alternative in tumor reduction? So as far as I'm aware, he's been on targeted therapy. So osimertinib, which we were very lucky to get, which did wonders for at least a year. And it's possible that his current problems are curable or manageable or something, but we're worried because it is palliative care, it is sort of end-of-life care. So I'll try and explore everything that's sensible. If they're willing to do that, great. I don't think my dad wants to be zonked out at all on anything, though. He doesn't want to take cocodamol for pain, because he doesn't like the fact it zonks him out, so... I finally managed to get a low pop server, and bounty hunting is amazing. Do you think CIG will nerf the AI? They shouldn't nerf it. They should make it more intelligent, not necessarily more difficult. I mean, there's going to be ace pilots that you face, and there's going to be less ace pilots that you face. But the general AI should become more developed and nuanced and detailed, and have behaviors and panic and things like that. Bikes, yeah, we're still waiting on the Tumbrel Ranger. Do you think CitizenCon this year will bring anything game-changing? Well, yeah. I mean, they'll show a load of new stuff. So I'm expecting to see the Nix system and the Pyro system in a lot more detail. I'm expecting to see a couple of a new mission, big sort of mission, with a load of newish gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. Basically, big evolution of what we saw from 2019's CitizenCon. And some of that mission, like, we still haven't fully got in game yet. We've fully got a lot of what they showed there. But obviously, we're still waiting on the Pyro system. We're still waiting on server meshing and all that sort of jazz. I do like seeing the direction of Star Citizen from CitizenCon. I'm very excited for it. Any news or thoughts on Theaters of War and the Tumble Rangers? As I said, the Tumble Rangers we're still waiting for information on. No new news on the Rangers. Theaters of War. Does sort of make sense that they'll want to prioritize the Ranger for that, actually, thinking about it. Expect to see some, at least Evocati tests in 3.14, in the 3.14 cycle. Have they given any hint at a live release date for what 3.14? I'm expecting middle of July at the moment. How did you guys find time to play? I'm always so busy when it's not winter. I mean, my job is to, myself and sort of appointed job is to cover Star Citizen. I'm playing either Star Citizen or another game when I'm not. So me and Zin at the moment are playing through Green Hell, Spirits of the Amazonia Part 2. Amazon Part 2, whatever it is. When do you think Wave 1 PT will come out? End of next week. Or between now and the end of next week. I had the changing missiles. Do you need the details? Yeah, so the two major things happening with missiles this patch. There's missile operator mode, which basically means you have to go into a different mode like you would with scanning to use missiles, which means in a single-seater fighter, you're either using your conventional weapons or in missile operator mode, and then you can target and launch missiles from there and select missiles more easily. So you've got more sort of missile options from that. But obviously, if you're on a multi-crew ship, or then you can have someone operating the missiles without that affecting the conventional weapons. You can just fire them while also firing missiles. So that's pretty cool. They also updated missiles to use the IFCS 2.0 system. So basically the same system that ships use, but obviously tweaked for missiles, which has the missiles going into different modes. So it fires, arms, tracks a ship using efficient amount of fuel. Once it gets within a certain range of a ship, and then goes into trying to hit it mode and speeds up and just tries to expend all its fuel and actually trying to impact the target. Yeah, it looks like that combined with the capacitor gameplay. So they've got power management version 2, which is basically adding capacitor gameplay to ships. So they now have it that the power triangle affects where your capacitors, your extra power is going, and actually directly affects it. So, bam, I want most of my power in my weapons, I want most of my power in my shields, most of my power in my engines, whatever, yeah, bam, 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 it will actually give a jolt of power to it. But things like energy weapons as well, they've got capacitors which drain, which means they have a limited amount of ammo until they need to charge again. Things like that. So combat in 3.14 is hugely changed, especially in 1v1 or fighters. Fighters is hugely changed. I mean, all ships, all combat's changed, but it will be very, very pronounced in fighters. So really looking forward to that. Hopefully, it's not terrible. There was always a worry that combat changes like that will be bad. There's a load of other stuff I know that's happening and changing, but I can't talk about it. Because it's an Evocati. Can we get a top hat on Chris? Yes, I'll give him a top hat and monocle at one point. I know the picture. Got the picture. When do you think the Rylan will come out? It's not on the roadmap yet. It's when they further flesh out the Xi'an. End of next year at the earliest. How's the current game performance? What are the current specs required? So the specs required are not necessarily what you'd want for relatively good performance. So you want like at least a 10 series, 1060 plus GeForce sort of card, a reasonably powerful 8-thread processor, 16 gigs RAM minimum really. I've got 32, so I don't think that's enough. But that's because Star Citizen has loads of optimization issues. But 32 is, well, 16 is fine. SSD, need it on an SSD, otherwise you'll be a billion years to load. But obviously there's a huge range beyond that. So I've got a 5950X CPU, sort of like one of the better CPU consumer AMD CPUs that you can get. I've got a 3080 now, and 32 gigs of RAM, and still struggle to get 4K on Star Citizen properly. Star Citizen is hugely unoptimized. However, it used to be like you'd get a couple of years ago, maybe a little bit longer, 3 years ago, you get like 10 frames a second, 20 frames a second in Star Citizen. You'd be like, oh, and sometimes you'd be happy at 20 frames a second. Now, frame rates are significantly better. 30 to 50 frames are common, even in sort of like lower frame rate areas. I mean, sometimes you get a chuggy place where you're like, oh, this landing zone is super unoptimized, or I'm getting bad frame rates today. But we're waiting for Vulkan and the Gen 12 renderers stuff. So basically they're building some of their core engine and some of their sort of like graphics options and rendering options, and getting Vulkan integrated there instead of DirectX 11, which should see some pretty good performance gains, or at least optimizations and sort of balance and this isn't the right word. It's optimizations and should make the game more scalable. That's the word I'm looking for. Scalability. Do you think we could ever have a in-character bed that can be fitted inside of a ship's cargo hold? Maybe. I was thinking about modularity of ships, and yes, you're going to have lots of ships are going to have lots of different modules. So basically, you can change a room to give it a different function. Just replace a room with another room, effectively. But I'm also thinking that we will get large section cargo things, like maybe we will get beds and furniture that allow us to do some medical gameplay a more limited fashion, but in just where you have any form of space. So I'm expecting some functional items that you can just place anywhere if you've got room. Exactly what, we don't know, and that's more of an I reckon. Get wool bedding. Okay. I mean, so my pillows are sort of like a gel foam thing, which is, I mean, it's the best. It's the best sleep I've ever had. It's the best sleep I can remember having. When do you think will be the next time we hear of the Banner Merchantman? Towards the end of this year. Well, yeah, next quarter, towards the end of this year's. Where'd you get the cool footage behind you? It's from various Inside Star Citizens and gameplay that me and Zin have done, stuff like that. Zin put it together. Good lord, it's the NordVPN guy. Nice. I think if anyone's the NordVPN guy, it's Eric from Comment Etiquette. His NordVPN adverts are legendary. I mean, people watch his content just to see those adverts. What do you think of the medium ships like Constellation not having shield faces in 3.14? So, the idea eventually, as far as I'm aware, is to have small ships and fighters have a single bubble shield. Yeah? And larger ships, medium-sized ships and beyond, will have multiple emitters. So basically they're adding a new item, shield emitters, in the future. That are a physical item which project shields onto that face. Fighters typically have one, so they have bubble shield. Yeah, boop, all around. And eventually, the constellations should have at least 4 emitters, as far as I'm aware. But some ships in the short term are going to have bubble shields, well, it's all going to be sort of faked until they have the emitters in, but as they physicalize more and more items. Engineer role diminished on the multi-crew ship. No, I mean, engineer role is obviously only ships you can do an engineer role on properly is a multi-crew ship for the most part. Well, at least. Glad you're okay, and yeah, crappy mattress and pillows will cause all sorts of pain and can cause all sorts of health issues. Cool. Lack of sleep is my main one. I think it causes a load of stress and anxiety. I think it genuinely. A good sleep puts you in a much better place. Well, me in a much better place. I'm glad you're okay, and yeah, that's literally what I just read. Huh. If they get servers working properly, do you think they will nerf AI? Personally, I hope they don't. I hope not. How are you so handsome? It's just the way God made me. I mean, I think I just look like a egg potato hybrid. Depends on which angle you look at me. But I appreciate the love, Kieran. I hope you're doing well, sir. I hope you're, I hope you are doing well. We need to catch up at some point. It wouldn't be hard to add roads on Microtech City, right? I mean, it's already explorable from ground. The only main problem would be the NPCs driving. So once they have the AI in to do that, they probably could put some short-range roads that are hand-baked in pretty easily. If you want procedural roads or procedurally assisted roads, that's probably a little bit more work. They've had that sort of in the past, but never really implemented it and then broke it. And we've seen some work with procedurally assisted rivers, which are pretty cool looking, just from the technical standpoint. And we will start to see this stuff in the game in the future. Any orgs you can recommend for a casual player? It depends on exactly what sort of gameplay you're after. There's a load of different orgs for a load of different sort of types of gameplay. Obviously, the big ones, Nest, the Corporation, places like that are absolutely great. Synchronizers. They sort of like will often do weekly events and things like that. What else have we got? Oh, what? No, that's right. I already answered that. I lose my position all the time. I do apologise. I just want to say I really appreciate the amount of work you put into all your content. I feel like I'm always in the know just by watching your YouTube videos. Keep up the good work. That is very much appreciated. That's basically what I want the channel for. I want it to be a mostly one-stop shop to Star Citizen news and information. I do want to start getting into meta and guides a lot more, especially as the game gets more and more, developed. And as we get more and more of a playable game, because that's where the channel will eventually be going for most of its content. Because once the game's released, it's going to be less about patch notes and news about the game. There'll be a little bit about news about the game, but more about what's happening day to day in the universe, sort of what's happening with these trade prices, what's happening with these org wars, what's happening with this, what missions and guides and all that sort of stuff. So it will focus a lot more in-game. Appreciate the love though, thank you. Do you think the next subscriber flare in July will be the paint skins that have been leaked? I can't possibly talk about that sort of stuff. For the worry that it might have been leaked from an Evacardi build or data mined from an Evacardi build. And as a Evo member, I won't discuss that. I have trouble with this game running smoothly. Don't we all, buddy? My PC definitely has the power to run it smoothly, but I can't figure it out. Everyone I watch, the game runs much more smoother than mine. I've got some guides on my website, boardgamer.co.uk, for Windows 10 optimization and Star Citizen optimization. There's a load of stuff that you can find, like, it might be you don't have enough RAM, it might be that you haven't put it on a fast enough SSD, so sort of some of the basics, the edge case stuff. But having things like low latency mode turned on an NVIDIA card, that's bad for Star Citizen. It doesn't like it. So I turn that off. But I've got a load of stuff like that talked about in the guides on my website and videos on my guides and tutorial section on my YouTube channel. Rangers should be this year, as they are meant to be adding ground racers to Hurston and its mids. Makes sense. Obviously, they've got a load of ground vehicles already. They are overhauling the some of the physics stuff and ground vehicles in general. And I was expecting to see the Ranger after that overhaul. We get to look at the Origin G12, or whatever it's called, when it's finished into development on deliverables. Bit confused what you mean by that. Bit confused by that question. What's your favourite non-content change for 3.14? What? And why is it the canvas sliced HUD? So, I mean, the HUD updates are alright. They're cool. I mean, they made the HUDs better. Yeah, for the ship, they're using the real estate of the screen a bit better. Non-content, I mean, it's such a weird... I mean, that's content, isn't it? As well? No? I don't know. Volumetric clouds? I don't know. My brain does not portion out what's content, non-content. You asked a too specific question. I don't like it. Do you think the Retaliator torpedo bays will change to use the Eclipse torpedo launchers with the rework for the modules? Oh, I see what you mean. No, I don't think we're going to see much of a change to any of the torpedo modules, because I think they're sort of working relatively well, in my opinion. I mean, that might not be accurate, but I think it is. Obviously, we are going to see modularity come to a Retaliator in the not-too-distant future. That's what it looks like. And that will allow you to switch out the front and back torpedo bays for living area, cargo bay, dropship module, stuff like that. And maybe some other things. Do you think all of the ships will be given a gold standard pass? Yes. They have to be. They have to get them all up to gold standard at some point. The gold standard keeps on changing, though. So once we have physicalized components, all ships will need to be brought up to that gold standard. At the moment, they sort of bring some of them up to gold standard and keep some of them semi-legacy because, well, no point in doing them all up to gold standard when you're waiting on physicalized components and the physical damage system. And more physical components as well. Not just the physicalization of all components in the ships correctly, but also they need to have shield emitters and things like that as well. Bear with me 1 second. Have you disabled Windows Game Mode? Oh, that's one of the other things. Yeah, there's a load of stuff like that, which will help improve performance significantly. But, bear with me 1 second. Yeah. Hi. Carlton Chris. Okay. She's actively trying to look after my father. It's sort of whining at me like, come help! How far along is land claiming and outpost building? Okay, so that's a good question. So they wanted to have originally some land claim gameplay in by the end of 2018. And they were actually working on it when I went to a studio tour in 2018. So I think that's accurate. And obviously that got deprioritized for other stuff. So outpost building, base building has changed significantly as well. So originally it was just going to be, you have an outpost that you can place with a pioneer. You build different types of outpost, different function in the pioneer, bump, drop it. The pioneer is much more of a mobile factory now for lots of different types of base building stuff, and they're expanding out base building to be a lot more than just outposts. They're working on the homestead colonial outpost stuff, so colonial homesteads, colonial sort of outpost sets, which are going to be more prevalent in the Pyro system, but you'll see them at other places as well. These are also big steps towards base building and player hubs and things like that. So it might be that we use and are able to build certain variants of these or something similar to these in the not too distant future. They're working on lots and lots and lots of different sort of base building stuff at the moment. So we don't know exactly where that's going yet, though. And land claims are very simple. You'll get a land claim beacon, which you can buy pretty cheaply. Place it. That will check to make sure that's an appropriate area and give you like 2x2 or 4x4 kilometers. And then you'll either register that on a mobiGlas app, which will then pay for the land, or go to a registration office and pay for it there. And I think that's probably where you'll buy those beacons. So that gives you, within UEE territory, or appropriate territory, security forces will protect your land, and they'll also be built into the law system there. So you go, someone's trespassing in my land. You have 30 seconds to move off this land. Otherwise, you get a criminal rating, or a fine, or whatever. So protect your land. City 028, thank you very much for the bits. I was halfway through a stride, so that's a lot of bits. Mwah! You get a little bit kiss. That's weird. You still get it. What's the difference between EM and IR, again, for Star Citizen? IR is heat. Heat generation. EM is electrical and generation. Make you the electrical signature, make you the heaty signature. On Star Citizen Live, Todd said they squashed 3,000 bugs per patch. That's probably relatively accurate. I mean, some bugs can be literally just tiny code issues. Seems reasonable. I mean, people working on some bugs, they probably get like 100 bugs squashed in a day. Yeah? Because of the size of the bug. With the answer to outpost building, do you see the Pioneer going back to the Pledge Store, or is it limited and no longer... I mean, it will come back to the Pledge Store again in the future, whatever, even if it's limited stock. I play Star Citizen a few hours a week. Although, admittedly, Zin gets a lot more Star Citizen footage than me at the moment. We'll be playing a load of 3.14. We'll be doing some BoredGamer organisation events as well. You will start to see a couple of live streams, assuming that 3.14 is not a buggy mess. See 3.14, I'll be playing it a reasonable amount with Zin on stream. And you'll see some gameplay videos. Although the channel is largely a Star Citizen news sort of channel. But what else have we got here? What are your thoughts on the Gatak Rylan? I think it's a cool ship. I think it fills a sort of hole for cargo ships in the game. We've got that Xi'an cargo ship eventually, didn't we? What else have we got here? Whatever happened to Theatres of War? It just wasn't ready. The net code was not good enough, and the performance was not good enough for what they wanted. So they are working on it, and trying to make it a lot better as a game, while also trying to make it more optimized and efficient. Is Cloud Imperium going to fix servers? Expect servers to be in a hopefully better state for 3.14 when it goes live. Although 3.13.1 was in a relatively good state. Do you think any of the planned systems or mechanics will negatively impact gameplay in the name of immersion? Maybe in the short time when they're implemented during alpha. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that is important that they try and fail at alpha so they know not to do it. You know what I mean? It's the sort of stuff that will happen, though. What concept ship are you and Zin most looking forward to? I can't talk about Zin. Well, I can talk about Zin. I don't know what Zin would say because she's not here currently. Let me just make sure she hasn't popped into the channel. No, and she's not online either. Pretty early for her, and it's a Saturday. Concept ship I'm most looking forward to. Probably the Banning Merchant at the moment. I mean, I love the Perseus. The Polaris is cool. Endeavour is the gameplay that the Endeavour sort of means. 631 viewers is amazing for a Star Citizen streamer. Well, that's because Anton raided me with like 1,000 people. I appreciate the hustle. Thank you. I will dedicate my life to this person. Any ideas of what the final age rating will be for Star Citizen? They're trying to keep it as low as possible. That's why they're not having ultra gore, they're not having children, and they're not having naughty things like the bubbles. When do you think Star Citizen will be ready for launch? 2025? When are CRG going to nerf the Vanguard series? See what they feel like in 3.14. I think that all we need is balance in all things. That will come at some point. Let's see what they're like in 3.14. They might need to do a pokey poke. Thoughts on the Santok Yai? Like the idea of it. Wasn't a massive fan of the Cartual, but I like the idea of a more medium fighter from the Xi'an. There's a trailer in the background. It's just a collection of clips and editing from sort of Zin's B-roll or stuff we use for videos. So it's a mixture of inside Star Citizen stuff and trailers and us playing. So we can build rust huts. We don't know the extent of base building other than it's going to be relatively extensive. There's going to be a lot of stuff we can do with base building. It's a major part of the game. And you're not going to need a Pioneer to build a base. That's the other thing. Message retracted. I self-censored. Too edgy a joke. No worries. You can privately message me the joke, Arcade Alchemist, if you want. Give us the ability to farm trees. What, you want me to give you the ability to farm trees? You may farm trees. They are. In Star Citizen. Oh, okay. Yeah, that might be a thing in the future. It'd be interesting to see. They'd have to make them harvestable entities, which, if they want to do, is probably pretty easy for them to do. When can we expect the RSI Perseus to come out? End of next year. Sort of Q3 next year is when I was expecting it, so. Have you found out since last stream how many of the different ships they have sold? No, not yet. I have asked, though. Board, do you think iCache and server meshing will actually open up more content on a sort of rapid way? So, they should be getting faster and faster as they develop the game, even if it's not immediately visible to gameplay content. That's because the back-end and core systems are getting done. They genuinely are getting done. And there's a load of quite pretty tech and stuff like that. But yes, once we actually start to see the implementation of iCache more readily and really server meshing, because iCache is now sort of part of the larger persistent streaming and server meshing sort of bundle of features, we should start to see stuff come in the game a lot faster, mainly because there's less to work on because a lot more of the core systems are done, and because they are working on all this other stuff simultaneously, and it's just further along the line. So we do have a gameplay studio now, the new turbulent-headed Montreal studio that's working on gameplay area and star systems and star map and stuff for Star Citizen. So they're getting there. And yes, the development time is very slow. Replace me ball cushion when? That is a great idea. Are the replace me balls, are they a CryEngine thing or a Lumberyard thing, though? Or a StarEngine thing? What's the difference between the Gladius and the Gladius Valiant? It is just a loadout change. It's just different weapons and skin. Are you in Ivacati? Yes. How much time do you spend on it? A very small amount of time. Recently, anyway. I'm not the best Ivacati member for finding bugs. I do most of the stress tests and stuff like that if I can. But over the last 3.14 stuff, I just haven't had the time to because my dad and stuff like that. So I'll try and get involved in as much more of the Ivacati testing as I can for this patch cycle before it goes to first wave. Good night, everyone. Good night, Excalibur. Previous 3.14 related medical gameplay. CIG said med beds can be upgraded, but they also mentioned that certain ships will have limits on this. Can you tell us more? So there's basically roughly 3 tiers of medical bed, yeah, for treating different injuries. There's tier 3, which is basic injuries and stabilization. That will be able to treat your minor injuries, minor wounds, treat like illness and stuff like that. There's tier 2, which is crippled limbs, multiple crippled limbs, more serious injuries, basically. And then there's tier 1, which is going to be near-death injuries. And there's going to be a load of range in between that for those tiers. But some ships, like the Apollo, for example, it's got 2 separate modules, which can have be set up for 1 tier 1 bed, or 3 tier 3 beds, or 2 tier 2 beds, and stuff like that in each of its modules. So you could have on one side 1 tier 1 bed, so great, treat near-death injuries, and then you can have 3 tier 3 beds. There's more of a sort of like stabilization and waiting room. Yeah. Dragon A Real. I am drunk right now, so GG. Dragon A Real. I hope to be slightly inebriated later at my barbecue that I'm going to. Not too bad, though. I do want to enjoy myself and not have a terrible hangover. And I have the responsibilities of looking after my father. And, well, my mother's around as well, so and she's doing most of that. But I want to be, competent to be able to help, even when hungover. But I'm planning to join myself as well. Thank you very much. I love you, Dragon A Real, at like a moderate level. You are moderately loved. So some ships, like the Cutlass Red, they've got 2 tier 3 beds as far as I'm aware. I think they're tier 3, or it's supposed to be tier 3. Maybe there's a tier below that as well. Stuff like this will evolve and change. But you're not going to be able to change those the beds in a Cutlass Red to a tier 1 bed. That's not its purpose. And certain ships have med bays. You might be able to change and upgrade some of the stuff around that. But it's a balancing act. Thoughts and prayers for your dad. Thank you very much. I appreciate the love. Thank you. It genuinely is appreciated. What else have we got here? Speculation question. Do you think the Banner Merchantman might actually release in next year's Alien Week? I think that's too early. It's possible. It's possible. I'm expecting more sort of like a Q3 release earliest for the Banner Merchantman next year. Dr. Introvertus, hope you're doing well, sir. Thank you very much for joining. think we will get an unstuck button instead of just a suicide button in the future. Unstuck can be abused, but I see what you mean. Unstuck might be useful. In the alpha, I'd like to see, at the very least, an unstuck button. Currently stuck between 2 bits of a caterpillar wreckage while doing an insurance mission. Yeah, that's rough. I had an eye test yesterday and found out I need glasses to correct my myopia. Myopia? Have you got any tips to stop glasses fogging while wearing a mask? You can get glasses that just are anti-fog, they're fog resistant, as it were. Because those that you have to use those kind of glasses if you need glasses and you're short-sighted. For VR, for example, you have to have that. Long-sighted, you know what I mean. I see things. I'm long-sighted. I see stuff better for long distance. Yeah, so the waves for 3.14, it's currently in Evocati, so that's a closed NDA to test group, non-disclosure agreement. You're not supposed to see any content from that, not supposed to release any content for that sort of thing. That then goes to first wave PTU, which is Star Citizen subscribers, Concierge, and sometimes, and Evocati, and sometimes a few other testers, like in the hundreds, but sometimes just those. And then it goes to wider PTU, in potentially multiple waves, going out into more and more and more backers based on how active they've been on the patches previously. So, and the issue council by where you report bugs and all that sort of stuff. So, and then it goes live. I'm expecting the live build middle of July at the moment. Release date of the Grey Cat armor. I'm expecting it for 3.14. I might be wrong with that though. Yeah, I'm expecting it for 3.14, the Grey Cat armor. Just because it looked like it was finished last time I saw it. How do you think the in-game hospital system will work? Is it just a respawn point, or it'll be more in-depth? So, start off with, think of it probably as a respawn point and a place to buy all your medical gear. Yeah, so you want med pens, you want medical tools, you want all that sort of jazz. Bam. It's also going to be a place in the future that you buy medical insurance for your character. And have the visuals of your character tweaked or your DNA tweaked. Because it's going to be a cloning system. For, you can either be recovered or sometimes you will die. And when you die, you'll basically clone, but it destabilizes the DNA of the kept clones there. So you might have to get better insurance or do stuff to regenerate your DNA. Because eventually you will, if you die enough, you will permanently die. But that doesn't mean you've lost all your stuff. It goes to your next of kin character, which you would then make. How much time does an active Evocati member spend? It vastly ranges. Some people are on it constantly throughout all the tests, like 16 hours a day sort of thing. Some are focus tests anyway, so you can only play for a few hours at a time. Others will maybe log in for an hour, play, or just jump in for a stress test. Do you think merit trading should be temporarily disabled given the obvious issues? So there are obviously issues with merit trading. It's weird because you can just go, well, I've got 1 billion merits. I'll just give them to people that get into prison. Bam, and get out. So maybe there should be a limit to the amount you can send. Maybe you shouldn't be able to send merits unless you're actually physically in contact with someone else. That's probably the way I'd do it. You can get merits. But you can only get it if you're next to someone. But you can't send them over the internets. What does your control setup consist of? So mine is keyboard and mouse. I've got a Roccat Vulcan 100 and a Logitech G502 mouse. And they're great. I do have a Verbal Constellation Delta, which is the best joystick and throttle I've ever used, but I don't use it much because I record a lot and I do a lot of first-person shooter stuff, so it's just simpler. I do have a Tobii eye tracker as well, which is great, but I haven't got it set up at the moment. Are Evocardi members secretly avocados? I mean, they are openly avocados. If we all stop donating to Star Citizen right now, how long until the release date? Several months. I don't know what they do. Like, there's still a load of work that needs to be done for Star Citizen. If all funding dried up now, the project potentially could be in danger of failing. Yeah? Because they're in it for the long term. They planned for the long term. They planned for funding to be relatively stable for the next, 5 years. Even if it halves, that's still good enough for them, I suppose. But if it just entirely dried up, that's not. Bored, how long have you and Zin been dating? We're not dating. She is my employee. She's in no way attracted to me. She's going out with one of my best mates, DC, and one day, hopefully, they'll get married. What I would say is that I find all women equally attractive. Boom! That was it. I can't say she's not attractive as a person because that sounds bad. I love Sin, but in a platonic way. I think she's fine with me saying that. You don't know. Will someone get funny if you say, "Well, I know I'm not your type, but you're not my type either"? Can you say that anymore? But also, I'm pretty happy being alone. Depressingly alone. Jonathan Hunter gets it. He's giving me $100 when I said I was depressingly alone. You made me feel awkward now. You haven't really. But yeah, you'll see DC on the channel occasionally as well. He's a legend. And he does a lot of background stuff for BoredGamer. But me and Zin are not dating. We just have that sort of bounce off each other relationship when you see us on stream with very good mates. I think when you see me interact with her best mate, Kit, I sort of... you would think we were potentially dating from how I interact with her. But again, it is just platonic. I'm just friendly. I prefer men. No, that's not true. I'm single, and I enjoy being single. I'm not an incel. I'm an incel. I don't want to be. Jonathan Hunter, love your videos, man. And we've got a few questions. Will the Idris M ever be available as a standalone ship? So it has previously been available as a standalone ship. Will it be available as a standalone ship again? You will be able to buy it in-game, eventually. You will also be able to mod an Idris P to be pretty similar to an Idris M, if not better in what you want from it. Because there's obviously like the Idris K kit for the big laser beam and the different turrets. So, will they ever sell the Idris M again in the future as a standalone ship? Maybe, but it is super rare and it's supposed to be a military ship, and there's a bike outside my house. But it's sort of been implied they won't. But obviously you can buy it as part of a package. There's super expensive packages, so it's one of the rarer ships in game. Also, will they ever fix the 890's missing fake water in the pool? Yes. They are working on swimming. They are working on better looking water. We should see better looking water literally when 3.14 comes. Hopefully that will also change the water in the pool. But we will have proper water, interactable water for silliness in that pool at some point. Maybe you suffocate in the pool because it's water. Yeah, I think they've solved that issue, or at least, as far as I'm aware, they've solved some more suffocation issues in some of the larger ships. 600i and 890 Jump being two of the ships that I know they have done some work on. Jonathan Hunter, though, thank you very much for the $100. I love you. That's a ridiculous amount of money to give to a derpy head potato boy like me. You've got to be careful what you say about the women's and about the men's. and I and anyone in between, or neither, or whatever you identify as. It's all good. Awkward questions. It's all good. It's all good. I'm only teasing. Do you think they might show us a whale at CitizenCon? Jared mentioned at the last Inside Star Citizen there will be a whale discovery tours at Horizon. Yeah, so they're adding later on whale tours, or at least the area where whale tours will be, and general tours around Horizon will be. Hospital area, more industrial platforms, the showroom, ship shop for Crusader. But we know that on the surface of Crusader, occasionally space whales will breach. That's not going to be in the initial launch. They need to build that in the game. So we don't know when that's coming. We could see some form of animal life at CitizenCon this year, though. Maybe the Boreal Stalker on Microtech, because that I know has received quite a bit of work. I prefer spaceships. That is the correct answer. I'm ship sexual. Do you think they might... that's what I literally just talked about. Do you have any leads on CitizenCon, what they might show? Gameplay demo, we know. Loads of presentations, we sort of know. They're going to be. We're not exactly sure what. They've implied that it's going to be out of this system. So what I would think about that is that it's probably going to be Nyx and Pyro shown off. And a gameplay loop between them. With the number of systems currently created for the PTU, how many do you think CIG plans to create? At the current production rate. So CIG have yet to really start full production on trying to pump out star systems at full speed. They've been building the tools to do that, and we're going to see the Pyro system in the not too distant future, and the Nyx system pretty soon after that, it looks like. But they have got a gameplay studio now, which they plan to have 100 plus people in, or is it more? The Tobin Hedge studio, which is just focusing on gameplay area and star systems now. So that's how they plan to get it out. They plan to have a studio of theirs focus on it. Who toxic will the community be in game? How toxic? We don't know. I suspect you'll see some toxic people and some orgs which are focused on brief-based PvP. Some that are just focused on quite fun roleplay PvP, or general actual sort of legitimate PvP is what most PvP orgs and players will be into. You'll see some people that are toxic, some people that are griefy, some people that blame the world when they die for any reason. We'll get that in at least a small percentage. I think the toxicity of the Star Citizen community will actually be, although it's slightly polarized, at the very extreme ends, I think you'd probably get that in all communities, it's actually probably going to be quite a lot lower than other games, because generally the players playing the game are older sort of IT professionals, or at least older crowd than you would get in other games. Hopefully that means you have less toxicity. Probably. Though you probably also get a sense of entitlement because of that. So we'll see how it plays out. Corbin Kenobi, thank you very much, sir. The sub. Jonathan, I love you. I love your money. But thank you very much for the sub. Very much appreciated, sir. How big do you think the cargo bay of the Constellation Taurus will be? I think it will be 20% bigger. And I think it will still be able to hold the Ursa rover, and maybe a couple of other vehicles as well. But it's not going to be able to hold bigger vehicles, if you see what I mean. Is the rivers and road tech, the last tech, still outstanding for planetary work? There's a huge amount more that he wants to do for planets. Loads more assets, loads more weather stuff, loads of biomes. Not just rivers, but seas, water in general. There's a huge amount of work. Every community has toxicity. What level is allowed will be up to the admin and moderators. Yeah. It's also generally the community itself tends one way or another. It sort of naturally rests at a level. Hopefully that level should be a lot less toxic than other gaming communities. That's what I'd hope. I'll certainly be doing some people talking about role play in the chat. I'll certainly be doing some light role play with some orgs and some silly things and messing around. I'm not a hardcore game-based role player. I mean, I play D&D. I do LARP. I mean, I am a role player, admittedly. So, I wouldn't rule it out. I do some silly hardcore stuff in the future for role play. I think I want to do in-game news at some point. And do some silly characters. But, I mean, at the end of the day, it's pretty cringe. But as long as you embrace that, you can make it cringe and fun. Is Chris Roberts in prison? Not this one. This one's good. He's doing good. He's a good boy. Star Citizen is very poorly optimized. That is a very nice way of putting it. Does anyone have an idea when 3.14 will be released? Expect first wave PTU next week, and expect I'm expecting 3.14 live middle of July. Do you think the Soviet Union could have managed server meshing by 2021? No, because they've entirely disbanded. Can't manage to do much of anything. They've purged server meshing, probably. Will CIG be making every PTU system, or every star system, should we say, individually, or will they create specific systems in the current creation method and let procedure generate? So it's procedurally assisted. So they'll go, we need this planet. What does this planet need to have? Blah, 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 blah. Put all the things that the planet needs to have. These biomes, this color, these stations, these things. Bam. The system can procedurally generate it. They'll procedurally generate 50 of them. And go, actually, this one's pretty good. We're going to use this one. Bam. And then the artists go down and do some handcrafting on it as well. It's procedurally assisted. So, many years ago, they said that Star Citizen modding and private servers will be a thing. Is that still going to be the case? Maybe. I mean, they talked about modding more recently and said they still plan to support modding. That was, again, a couple of years ago. What's your honest take at seeing the Vulture this year? It would have to be a surprise release as part of Salvage. And it's possible. It's possible that we will see the Vulture this year. Would you rather have bums where your elbows are? Elbows where your bum is? Tiny ass. Little tiny bottom. I think I would prefer to have elbows where my bottom is currently. I just have a interesting like cup holder seat for my ass. For everyone concerned with toxicity, make sure you aren't that person, and always try to be respectful. You don't need to necessarily civil. Respectful's good. Yeah, I do agree. But to me, it's semantics, civility. Like you don't need to respect someone, and some people that you've just met, or some people that you just don't respect. Full stop. You should always try to be civil. Where possible, anyway. If you want to engage with them in any meaningful way, be civil. And if they're not being civil, be the bigger person. Do you think roleplay would be better if more props were available for use? Such as vending machines and put a 100% yes. I mean, if we can use all the things and use the arcade machines and interact with every individual prop, which hopefully we'll be able to do to a much huger extent than we can now in the future, then that would be great for roleplay, yes. When is the winner of the ship going to be announced? It will be the 1st of July, probably. Your bum's already an elbow of sorts. Well, I've clearly answered that question in a previous life then. Has Star Citizen ever commented on why every ship has guns? Even the Starliner has a rear turret. No, not really. I think they just went, well, you might need some guns for, you know, fending yourself off from Otherwise, you have lots of little pesky ships just bothering you. Shoot asteroids and things, aren't they? You don't. They've got the hard points for guns. You don't actually have to put guns on them. Once Orison is out, can you organise a bunch of people with EMP ships to basically trigger EMPs around Orison? Yeah, I mean, we'll try it, but I mean, it won't do anything. It might even be a midterm, be a green zone, so you can't do that. But we'll see. It's not going to make it fall out the sky, I'll tell you that. Theaters of War gameplay going to be isolated from the PU or not? So, yes, it's going to be isolated from the PU, but you might be able to access it from the PU. It's electronic access. It's the virtual game world of Star Citizen. But it is going to be based on Star Citizen lore events and things like that. Has there been any indication of being able to play Star Citizen as an alien race in the future? Yes, they said after release, we will try and do that. So in the far future, you may be able to play as other alien races. Any news on the Genesis Starliner? No new news on the Genesis Starliner, other than I wanted in the game. That's not new. Do you prefer hard points over soft spots? Wow. Whatever happened to Tessa Bannister? And is she ever coming back? Yes. So, in fact, with the new scanning updates that are coming in 3.14, it's more likely that Tessa Bannister will start to return, because basically she is largely scanning and protection missions that require scanning for, is the idea, because she's in charge of that little scanning probie point. So we might see her in the very near future. They will bring her back at some point, yes. I'm thinking PTU for 3.14 will be next week. Will we ever be able to buy Jericho dumbfire rockets instead of having to buy Mustang Delta or Vanguards to get them? Yes, so in the future there will be rocket pods that you can purchase. I think they're going to fit on some missile hardpoints, but don't 100% quote me on that. Would love to watch you play as a Star Citizen news anchor, and almost certainly we will. Well, I will think of a nice hybrid between roleplay, or at least a character, and presenting Star Citizen information, and it not being too cringe, and it being informative and more fun than whatever. Because obviously, I think we've all seen some terrible cringe attempts at roleplay. What have you actually enjoyed the most in 3.x so far? Jump Down's the most enjoyable thing in Star Citizen so far. Really liked See No Threat for the amount it lasted. The original Fleet Week last year, well, I say original, with the Bengal and Idris at the first time was fantastic. Do you think they'll wipe with this new update? I'm not expecting a wipe for 3.14. Any news on a board citizen event this year? So, Averick, I am planning on, once we have a little bit more lockdown info, of when we're sort of like easing out of lockdown, I want to do a big bar citizen in the UK. I'm not sure whether I'd want to do it before or after CitizenCon though. Work out which. Won't be directly before or after. Or maybe it could be. But I want to do a big bar citizen, probably up in Manchester, because that makes the CIG devs much more likely to turn up. And it would be like a pub quiz, it would be a day of socialising, maybe a couple of silly events and competitions, lots of drinking and chatting, maybe a quick panel or two from some devs. That's the sort of stuff I envisioned from it. When will Banu Merchantman, and what ships will we get this year? Banu Merchantman end of next year, Q3 next year if we're lucky, sort of thing. There's obviously more ships coming out this year that they've already got planned. For 3.14, it's at least the Constellation Taurus. But there could be some new variants or some new ships secretly put into the patch. For 3.15, it's the Redeemer, Hercules A2, and the Ares. Got the Hull C in 3.16, and then 3.17, which is Q1 next year. Got the Hull A and the Scorpius. And I expect to see more ships in between that as well. So whether they are entirely new straight to fiber ones or some other variants. If you roleplay a news anchor, would you fly a Reliant Mako? Maybe sometimes. Not as the anchor, I probably wouldn't fly the Mako. Do you know what I mean? Someone else would. I'm not a massive fan of the Reliant series, but obviously the Mako is the news van. But I'm hoping we get some larger news vans, like I can have a larger operation. From Endeavour. Oh. Or a Carrack. Will you be signing autographs? Anyone that asks me to sign an autograph, I will. Obviously. But I do not see the point in getting an autograph from me. I'm just an idiot. But I appreciate that. So these events, like CitizenCon stuff, I am the perfect level of celebrity. No one recognizes me out anywhere until I'm at a specific Star Citizen event or Bar Citizen, and then people are really friendly towards me and buy me drinks. And I quite like that. And it's not so much that, like, there's too many people around me, I can't get away or anything. It's never like that. It's just sort of people constantly coming up and say hi. It's fantastic. It's lovely. Bonus points if you get BoredGamer to sign your head. Nice. What else have we got? Oh, we've got some stuff here. Okay. Are you going to miss Port Olisar? Yes. It was the first real taste of the persistent universe that we got. And it's a super important location. It does need to go at some point. I mean, I'd be fine with them changing it into just moving it slightly. I'd be fine with them keeping it as long as they actually put a new spaceport down for Crusader that had the same facilities as like Port Tressler or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like the major ones in orbit. So they have basically said it's going to go. But they also said it wasn't just going to get immediately replaced. It's going to go off in an appropriate way. So maybe it will be decommissioned or it will be blown up. So it sounds like they're going to blow it up at some point. Proof Port Olisar is getting removed. The devs have said it's going to get removed. Both recently on the Star Citizen Live and then multiple times before that. I've been living under a rock since 3.15 or 3.10. What are the Star Citizen key point features to look out for? Heard you saying something about Wales roads. That's more sort of stuff they're working on at the moment. Orison and Crusader, new landing zone, should be incredibly pretty. Should represent gold standard for what Star Citizen currently is able to do visually. Although they are planning to improve that a lot more. There's bounty hunting and reputation system and huge amounts of new combat changes in 3.14. So there's a lot of mission chains and stuff to do that is much more PvE orientated, that you can actually go, oh, actually this is pretty fun PvE. Cargo and mining, well, cargo should be in a much better place, hopefully. Mining is super polished. It's a much more playable game now, Star Citizen from 3.10. And also you've got these dynamic events. So you've got Xenothreat Remastered. So you would have missed Xenothreat. So Xenothreat's big remastering of that, of a big fleet battle and cargo retrieval mission with combat going on everywhere. That's going to be great to play with a load of people. That'll be awesome. And you'll get to play that in 3.14. And then you've got the Ninetales Lockdown, which is a smaller dynamic event, which will keep on happening throughout 3.14 and future patch cycles, which will have a station near Crusader getting locked down. So there might be trade opportunities there. There might be combat opportunities there and mission opportunities there. But basically, Pirates, Ninetales will lock that down with quantum interdiction. but you don't know where that quantum interdiction is. And there's going to be missions for you to go out and defend ships where they're trying to scan down the quantum interdiction. And then there's going to be players on the Ninetales side, if they want to try out the Ninetales rather than the Crusader security, that will be trying to destroy those ships before you scan down the stuff. So, much more PvP orientated event. Michael, hey, do you know the Star Citizens hotline, self-help hotline? Check out my interview with JP, who's spent almost $110,000 on the game. He's addicted. In a quite good way. He's a good chap. I love the boy. Yeah, that video I got spouted a huge, or propagated a huge amount of articles from loads of places, even Germany and Poland and France, about me interviewing JP, which was cool. Nice to see. Favorite flyable ship? Mercury Starrunner. It's beautiful. It's cool multi-role, and it's got the best tech setup of any of the ships at the moment. So, like, all the buttons work, and there's cool little events underneath the ship. And when we got Chris Roberts' pitch back in 2013 in regards to exploration, what do you envisage for this gameplay in terms of finding and navigating naturally occurring jump points? I think there will be a rarity, but I think there'll be two types of jump point. Sometimes you'll see a jump point that, well, three types of jump point. You'll see jump points that sort of like take you somewhere else within the same system. It's like a big little jump. You'll see some that take you to a different system, which are like, oh, this, I didn't know this take you to this system, or this is new. And you'll see some that take you to an entirely new star system, some of which might be temporary. So, but there's a huge amount more features beyond that we're in after 3.10. So, do you think all the Hercules variants should be allowed to have all 4 beds and an escape pod that we're designed to have? C2 is too big to only have 2 people. I see what you mean. It's 2 permanent crew. I think that's the idea. I do see what you're saying. I think we'll all wait for Paul Olisar to an extent. So you're saying is I need to spend at least 110,000 to get self-help for my addiction. Well, then you know you're addicted. Yeah. Good night, Bored. Going to sleep. I love you, Huntress. I will see you later. Take care. How do you feel about the new sub-flare being a ship skin? I like the idea of it. But I don't mind it. I don't mind them going through phases of stuff. They'll have to wait and see. That's been officially announced. I haven't seen it. I don't always read all the jump points immediately. Have I got a Constellation Andromeda? Hey, I've got a Constellation Andromeda, which is kind of shit right now. Any plans to change that? We might see some updates to them. I'm waiting to see what they've done with the Taurus 3.14. Might get some tweaks. Hey, Bored. Just want to say I love the vids. I'm looking for performance guide, but I'm only able to find one from 5 years ago. So I do need to update it, but the performance guide there has a lot of the same stuff in it. The Windows 10 guide and the performance guide. It's on my website, boardgamer.co.uk. That's where you'll find the written guide, which is more up to date. How are you doing? Just wondering if deep scan probing is going to be exclusive to exploration ships or all ships. I'm assuming you're going to require a drone bay or scanning drone probe module or something like that. I'm expecting that to be more readily available on exploration ships. Hey, boyo! Do you think we'll really get dynamic moving clouds? I think we'll get clouds that might be pre-baked to move in weather. Like, I think they're going to be working with my radar guys to do weather. That would be my expectation. because I know Andy Green is a massive fan of Star Citizen, and they've done Star Citizen-y weathery stuff before, or at least factory stuff before with them. So I don't think we'll see true dynamic moving clouds, but I do think we'll see a solution which looks like fantastic weather. Do you think Star Citizen is popular enough to try and do videos and streams of it? I know it's grown a lot more in popularity, but there's a lot of growth for it outside of the primary guys like yourself. Morph, Tomato, Eradicator, Infraraz. Sorry if I didn't list someone. There's loads you didn't list, but there's loads of content creators. I think that there's some space to do a viable business just on Star Citizen for content creation. Depends on what you've styled your channel for. For me, I can do a load of Star Citizen content, and there still be more that I am unable to do, even with me and Sin, and make a living from that. And we do run other companies as well, but I might move into other gaming stuff. Like I might do maybe Magic the Gathering or some card stuff on another channel. Might do some other games. I haven't really decided. The world is my oyster. Actually, no, oysters are terrible things. The world is full of opportunities I haven't taken yet. Bored, do you think Star Citizen... Oh, that's what literally I just read. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, me BoredGamer. Do you know when the Saber will be in Gold Standard? I think they were doing some work on that, actually. So Gold Standard is representative of what the current Gold Standard is, which keeps on changing. So, depends what actually you mean by that. But occasionally you'll see big updates to all ships in 3.14. Do you know any good button pads, like the idea of quickly pressing a physical button to engage power? Game class just doesn't do it. Well, it depends on the actual pad you've got for that. Do you know what I mean? For game class. A physical one is probably more your cup of tea then. People make some good physical ones. You can obviously use things like Stream Decks with buttons that some of the... there's a load of people that make Star Citizen type buttons for it. You can purchase an Anvil Hawk from shop in-game. Can you get it from New Deal? Is New Deal where you get the Hawk? I think New Deal on Hurston is where you get the Hawk, maybe. I don't have that. I don't have an access to an encyclopedia of that in my head. Maybe I should. It's probably something I should memorize. Do you think owning tiers of the same industrial ship is helpful? I mean, a lot of people do it. If you've got an org that can make use of them, maybe. However, smaller amount of ships is better, in my opinion, just to be able to manage them. But I think it's viable too. Do you think we're going to be limited by our physical location in the universe and only being able to move and spawn one ship? I think you're about to pay other people to move ships for you. I think you're about to plan a fleet. I think you're about to pay NPCs to move ships for you. You're about to get NPC crew. Will I be able to watch BoredGamer and use it in-game? They've got render texture tech that would allow you to stream from in-game to in-game, I believe. And I think that's things like the news Wagoner 4. And I'm planning to do that sort of content in the future, yes. Right. I think we're pretty done. Is there any more questions? I'll go through a couple more quick questions before I pass you on to another content creator, because I'm going to go have a shower. And then I'm going to go get ready for a barbecue. Because I want to get out of the house. I'm really looking forward to 3.14. So, as I said, I'm thinking first wave PTU next week. Live build probably mid-July. That's the most likely at the moment. Will the combat changes be good? For the missiles and the missile operator mode and power management with capacitor gameplay? Potentially. I'm hoping that they've sorted that and some more desync out. There's probably still going to be desync in 3.14, but hopefully less. But there's a stinky boy. That is why I need a shower. At least a sweaty boy. What could server meshing mean for Star Citizen? Like major effects? Lots of players in the same server. rather than 50, hundreds or thousands, sort of thing. Yeah. And the start of a more dynamic universe with dynamic pricing and stuff like that. Significantly better server saving and stability and performance, and a huge amount of content, sort of floodgates open for it. It is integral to Star Citizen. It is key to it being an MMO. I mean, if server meshing didn't work as intended, they'd either spend more time on it or they'd have to go for an next best alternative. So, which would be one God server which coordinates all the dynamic information about what's happening, but then you'd only see like a few hundred people in your instance, but the instances are all on top of each other and you can move between the instances. That would be something like that if server meshing doesn't work. Meaning of life. So what I'd say is, don't try to be happy. Try to not be miserable and try and find purpose in what you do. As soon as you've got purpose, as soon as you're not miserable, you're content, and you've got purpose, I think that's pretty good. I think that's what we should strive for. And to generally just be accepting of people and their views, whether they're good or bad. It's all good. And be reasonable and civil and good to people. Also, Windows 11. Don't know enough about it yet. Looks very Apple-y. But hopefully it will be good and not cause any problems for games, but we'll have to wait and see. Barbecue, what's your preference? Well, I've got some Wagyu steaks. I mean, I spend a lot of money on food to get nice food, and I used to be a head chef, so I like my food. So I've got I need to get them out in a minute. Actually, I've got some Iberico pork. I like my Iberico pork. I've got some Australian grain-fed Wagyu. I'll be taking. I am on keto as well. Well, mostly keto. Also, alcohol-wise, I've got some lemon and lime water, which I'm going to be combining with bourbon, which I think will probably be a nice drink, and lots of ice, because I'm planning to drink a reasonable amount, but over a huge period of time. Yeah, we'll talk more about Windows 11 when I know more and how that might affect Star Citizen, and I'll poke CIG a bit and see if there are any concerns about it. But I suspect it's, well, yeah, it'll work with Vulkan, doesn't matter, whatever sort of thing. I always focus on the happy and try to make things better. So, but because I'm bipolar, I don't think happiness is really obtainable or something you should strive towards, because happiness just seems too arbitrary to me. But also always say as well, try and be a better person tomorrow, and try to not feel guilty about things, but feel and each time you feel guilt, just go, try not to do this thing again, or be a better person. But don't hold on to the guilt, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, of things, because otherwise it's embarrassing to feel guilty all the time. That's not productive. Try to be productive. Okay, no, I need to move on from that and not do that again. That's the outcome that I want. Yeah? See? Didn't expect a meaning of life answer, did you? You mother trucker. You must do a cooking stream. Yeah, me and Zin will be doing cooking streams in the future. And wine tasting streams. We quite like our wine. Although it will have to be when I'm coming out of keto again, or special occasions. All servers in server meshing are equal, but some are more equal than others. Nice. Get some George Orwell. So ribeyes are my favourite steaks, yes. This time I have sirloins because I bought some Wagyu sirloins for my dad. I'm on staycation. What is the first thing I'm going to do? Catch a BoredGamer stream, obviously. I appreciate the love. I am going pretty soon, though. Bleh, Wagyu. Always heard how good it was. Then I moved to... Had some too much fat. Yuck. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's the marbling and the fat, which is pretty good, typically. It depends on the cut you get, though. Really, I suppose you don't necessarily need Wagyu. What I would say is if you want something buttery and tasty for a steak, you want grain-fed, grain-finished at the very least. grass finished and fed. It's got a little bit of a metallic taste to it to me. It's not bad by any means, especially when you... I mean, I'm good at cooking steaks now. What I meant with... early with being respectful, everyone has their own life, own problems, and you may just be having a bad day. Me being a respectful person may just help. That's very fair and nice of you and good of you. You can show as much respect to your resting level of respect for people. If it's relatively high, I think that's a good thing. Yeah? But I'm saying there's obviously some situations where you don't respect the person, or you know not to respect the person because they've proven to be untrustworthy or whatever. But you should still always remain civil to those people. But yes, no, they're very, very reasonable. I thought I heard you say CIG isn't pursuing server meshing. No, they are. But I said, if it doesn't work as intended, or something goes wrong with it, they'd have to do the next best thing. That's what I was saying. These sort of things where you're like, well, server meshing will work. Yeah, it probably will. They've got the time and everything. But what if it doesn't? Well, in those what-if scenarios, I think it's worth talking about briefly. The CIG planned to go in the direction of more playable races. So there's going to be alien races walking around the game, and they're going to be hireable crew. In the future, after release, they may add other playable alien races for you to be, other than just human. Maybe. Any news on 3.14 when it goes to PTU? Expect it probably in first wave PTU next week, and then live probably middle of July. That's my expectation. Right. I'm going to find someone to to pass people on to. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's very much appreciated. I'm going to go to a barbecue in a minute. I might get a one of Zin's Law videos out if it's been finished. Might not. Depends. Who is online that people might want to watch? Let's drop you off with someone I like. So if you want to watch some actual gameplay, we've got the Dark Law. He does a bit of PvP. He's a good chap. He's also a beautiful egg / potato-headed man. To give him some love. And you actually see some gameplay from a actual skilled pilot now. He's very good at flying and good at combat. So he's good to chat to. But please continue to support the channel. Check out my YouTube, BoredGamer UK. Stars and content. Lots of news, reviews, and stuff daily on that. Reviews, maybe not, but news, summaries, guides. And obviously, I do try and stream twice a week. And me and Zin will be playing a lot more gameplay with 3.14 is the plan, but we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, thanks for the love. It's very much appreciated. Hope you all have a great weekend. And I will pass the kind messages on to my father, such as they are, although he'll feel weird about it. Like, what? What? What do you mean that some people on the internet? What? How do they have they seen what? That's the sort of conversation it'll be. I was like, don't worry, Dad. They're just saying go team. Have some steak. But yes, thank you very much for the love. Hope you guys have a great weekend.